quadcopter is nearly done. Your Phoenix 250 is almost ready for its maiden flight. We've tested everything. We know the motors works, the ESC works, the camera, the transmitter. This is great. Now that we have complete confidence in everything here, we can now shrink the tubes on the ESCs to protect them. After that, we're going to mount them to the arms. We're going to add our battery strap, Velcro, and other accoutrements, and get this finished. To shrink the tubes, you will need a heat gun, and I like to use one with a heat concentrator on the end. Make sure that the tube is clearly over all of the electrical connections. Turn on your heat gun, and bring it down, and this only takes a moment. Make sure you got it from all angles. Very good. Let's move on to the next one. Again, make sure the tube is clearly on. Lift it up. Make sure you get underneath the bottom of it and watch your fingers. Okay, let's move on to the third one. Again, make sure it's centered over the ESC and begin shrinking. And the last one. Make sure that shrink tube is well over the wires. There we go. And begin shrinking. And now you're done. Put your heat into cooling mode. Let it cool down for a moment. Mine takes about 2 or 3 minutes to cool down, so give it a chance to blow cool air. Give it 1 to 3 minutes for the air to cool down so you don't burn out your heating element. You want that heat gun to last a good long time, many, many years. Okay, my heat gun is cooled down enough, and I'll switch that off. So let's take a look at what we've got now, up close. When you're done shrinking the tubes on your ESCs, they should look like this, with the tube giving a nice fit, well covering all the solder points and the electronics on the bottom. This is perfect. We're now going to secure the ESCs to the arms. And we got this great strap that we're going to use to tie this around, and we're going to do that in a moment. But I have an optional step I like to do, because even though this holds it in place, it can still slide around a little bit. So I like to use a little double-sided tape. Now this is a completely optional step, but I take 4 little pieces of double-sided tape. And I take this little piece of double-sided tape, and I like to put it underneath the ESC, and then just push it where I want it in place, just like that. I'm still going to use the strap, but I think this holds it in place just a little bit better. So I'm going to continue and do this with the other ESCs now. The size of the tape doesn't really matter because it's going to be covered with the strap. So just put it in there and position it down and give it a little shove. And this will help hold it squarely in place. Again, I just want to stress, you do not have to do this. I like to do this. I think it makes holding them in place just a little bit better. You wouldn't want to leave them with double-sided tape alone. That certainly is not enough to keep them secure. But it's just kind of for slippage. There we are. There we are. Done. Now we're going to give it some extra oomph with this strip. I like to start by taking it underneath, wrapping it around, taking the end, putting it in the nearest hole, and pull. And just keep pulling until you get it down. You can get it firmly over the ESCs once you get it pretty much down. Okay, now that I've got that around, I'm going to give it another pull for tightness. And it will slide a little bit, but that's it. Once we got that done, take your snips and cut it off. And that ESC is done. So let's just continue this along. Put it underneath, strap it around, through the hole, pull. You might want to hold the end a little bit, and when it gets almost all the way down, that's when you give it that final tug. And you know, it could slip off. That's okay. You can push it right back on. And once it's done, take your snips, cut off the excess. I want to caution you, should not cut too close, because if you do, it will come undone. But that's going to hold that in place. Continuing along, we'll just get the rest of them done now. As you get further along, it gets a little harder because the strap gets shorter. Last one is obviously the hardest. And snip. One more ESC to do. One more pull. It's right over there. And it's done. 4 ESCs are shrunk and mounted. This is all that I have left of my strap. That's fine.